welcome back. So, on Friday, I talked about the Columbus Blue Jackets in a short little bit about how their expectations, they failed expectations, they were supposed to get better. Well, what I didn't know at the time, and what I probably should have known, it's my fault for not doing the research, they have lost 9 straight games. 9 straight games this team has lost. And it has been a brutal 9 games at that. And some of these games too, like you think they'll win them, but they don't. They either fumble the bag somehow, they let in a bad goal, or they can't score, or they blow it in overtime. Just any way possible, this team is blowing leads. It's just it just sucks so bad right now in Columbus, and it plays into a lot of factors. So overall, they're 4-11-4 for 12 points. However, they've lost 9 straight games, and they only have one win in their last 14. One win, one singular win. They've scored 51 goals, have let in 70. I actually think that's not that bad of numbers for a team that has lost 9 straight games. And I will say this too: the majority of these games have been one goal games. Like, they aren't getting blown out of the water every single night. No, they're keeping it close in the majority of these games. They just don't seem to have any luck right now. The scoring isn't there. The goaltending has been lacking. It just seems like everywhere right now they're lacking a lot currently. So we're gonna go through it here fully. Their last win was November 2nd of this year against Tampa. So way back in the month, like 18 days ago. They've played about 9 games since then, and they've lost all of them. Whether it's in overtime or in regulation, they're losing. And it seems like, it seems like they're really unlucky, and it seems like they really can't get anything going. But a big part of that, too, is their main players. Let's get into it here. So, their leading scorer is Ivan Provorov. Yeah, the Philadelphia Flyers defenseman Ivan Provorov. My Philadelphia Flyers, Ivan Provorov. I can't believe I'm saying that, honestly. Provorov, 19 games played, 1 goal, 11 assists for 12 points. That's it. A defenseman leads your team in points. He ain't no Kale McCarr. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, that is brutal. And if you're gonna have Ivan Provorov leading your roster in points, you definitely have a lot of concerns going on with your team right now. Boone Jenner, second in scoring, 19 games played, 8 goals, 3 assists for 11 points. That's where the majority of their goals have been coming from Boone Jenner. He's had himself an all right year, I'd say. Those aren't bad numbers for a player like him. Third in scoring is Zach Werenski, who did miss a few games. 17 games played, 1 goal, 10 assists, 11 points. Kirill Marchenko, fourth in scoring, with 17 games played, 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points. And then one of the positives, there isn't many positives, but Adam Fantilli's been a big positive with 19 games played, 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points. And, around Fantilli, you had Kent Johnson, Marchenko, Chinakhov, Gaudreau, Laine. That's a pretty solid top 6. Like, on paper, that should be a good top 6. Because that is some good youth. Gaudreau, even though, like, last year wasn't as good as, like, his 115-point year, still a solid 70-point scorer. Laine can score well. Hey, you look at that roster, it looks like they would take a step. Maybe not playoffs, and I'm not saying this team's a playoff team. But, maybe with those players, they take a step in the right direction, but it hasn't been that. We just haven't seen that, and there's just been so many factors that have been playing into that. So, we'll start off with Gaudreau. 7 points in 19 games played. Up until yesterday, he had 1 goal. And that goal was an empty net goal. So, it has been a brutal stretch for Gaudreau through the start of the season. He's been benched numerous times, and it's funny, too, because not only has Gaudreau been benched, Huberdeau in Calgary's been benched, which we'll make a video on Calgary eventually. They will get up there. But, yeah, it just seems like Gaudreau is struggling to find his game. Even last year, he looked consistent at this point in the season. But, now it just isn't there. He just hasn't been scoring. And even that, too, there's rumors that he doesn't even want to play. He doesn't want to play in Columbus. It's not nothing true. Gaudreau hasn't said, I want to leave Columbus for Calgary or anything like that. But there are some rumors out there that he apparently isn't enjoying it. And all I'm going to say to it is, you had New Jersey on the table, you had Philadelphia on the table, but you picked Columbus. That's all I'm going to say. And I know, like, I'm not disrespecting Columbus there at all, but you had other options. And I'm not saying that Columbus was going to be a horrible team without him, but like they weren't a playoff team when you came to them. Like, I'm sorry, Columbus fans, I'm not trying to offend you, but you guys weren't a playoff team when Gaudreau signed 2 years ago, or yeah, pretty much 2 years ago already. Like that, you guys weren't a playoff team. You were getting better, you were going in the right direction, but you weren't there yet. And I feel like the Gaudreau signing, and as well as that too, the Eric Branson signing, has actually made things worse. It's made things worse. Like it seems like the team's gotten so much worse with these signings. Patrick Laine, 3 points in 6 games or 9 games. Sorry, not 6 games. He's been benched and scratched. Last night he was scratched against Philadelphia. Pascal Vincent, I'll give credit where it's due to him. He came in a pretty rough situation, and we'll get into that discussion there in a second. That's a whole nother discussion that I'll get into. But with Pascal Vincent, like, he said the right things when Laine was scratched. He needs to find his game. He needs to find his groove again. He feels like he lost himself. He's giving Laine a breather. I honestly, I think that seems like the right response to something like that. And I'm not going to disagree with him either. Laine hasn't been good. However, you're putting him on the center. You're making him a center. He's a wing. He is a wing, not a center. And I don't understand. Like, I understand the team has very weak center depth. There's a lot of injuries down the middle. But still, like, he's not a center. Stop putting him in center. Like, that's all I'm gonna say to that. And then Kent Johnson, another guy that pointed out to me. I believe he's playing games now. I don't think he's in the AHL anymore. 3 points, was sent down to the minors a few weeks ago. And it just hasn't connected for him either. He's been really struggling these recent games. And it really sucks for him too, because he was looked at to be such a great forward, and it just hasn't been there so far. Goaltending, we'll get into that now. Merzlikins, 13 games played, 3-6-3, 3.31 goals against average, and a .897 save percentage. I mean, look, him and Spencer Martin, like, the team's not very good, so, like, they're playing as well as they can, honestly. I don't think it's their fault, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Obviously, like, and I remember, like, when Babcock got fired for the whole situation, looking through players' phones. Now, I feel like, and I'm gonna give Columbus a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here with this. I honestly do think that's kind of what's affecting them right now. Like, that shakeup at the beginning of the season had to have affected the roster. Like, I mean, like, I'm not saying that, like, overall, like, they were going to be such a great team if that didn't happen, but, like, I feel like that's affected them a lot. I really think it has. And Vincent, like, I honestly don't know enough about him, and that's not me trying to diss Vincent at all for him not being a well-known coach. I just don't know a whole lot about him. I think that, with the overall roster he has, he's probably making the best he can. He needs to not put Laine on the wing. But even if, like, the Columbus fans that are watching this video disagree with me and think that he should be fired, can you fire him? Like, you already fired Babcock. Are you going to fire Vincent now? And Vincent was, like, kind of like the leftovers of Babcock. Not going to lie. So, like, at that point, I turned to Kekalainen. I turned to Kekalainen because, yeah, last year could be chalked up as a very bad luck season. Not a good year for them whatsoever. A lot of injuries. Pretty much everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. But I feel like the ownership in Columbus was, like, saying, yeah, we could give him one last chance to really prove himself. But now, like, honestly, I feel like the Gaudreau signing has hurt them more than it's helped them. I'm not gonna lie to you. So, if I'm the team, I might turn to Kekalainen and say, hey, you haven't been we're in year 3 of this, or like year 4 of this. What, they missed the playoff? They haven't made the playoffs since 2020. So that's like, what, year 4 of this kind of rebuild? It wasn't official till like 2 years ago, but like, we're in year 4 of this rebuild now, and we're still seeing this team be absolutely terrible, even with all the young talent they have too. Like they got Juracek, Fantilli, Johnson, Marchenko, other guys that I'm not even thinking of right now. You have so many notable players on this roster, including Gaudreau and Laine, that just aren't panning out right now. And I think you turn to Kekalainen at that point and say, well, you haven't been putting a good roster together, and we haven't been seeing a lot of progress. And I think that, maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't happen, but I feel like at some point, you're going to have to turn to the general manager. Maybe they're giving him one more year, but, I mean, they could use a Celebrini or Yzerman or Demidov. They could, or a Dickinson, because that's my last name. But, I mean, like, We'll find out with Kekalainen, honestly. And you think that like, oh, with 9-game losing streak, they could win at some point. No, their schedule doesn't get a lot easier. They play Chicago. That's a winnable game, and it's funny because I said like, oh, their schedule's not easier. They play Chicago. That's a winnable game. They can win that game. But after that, the rest of November is very hard for them. They play the Devils. I'm going to that game in New Jersey, so I will be able to watch them in person. Maybe I'll see them break their losing streak, which would be such a Nordic thing to happen. Maybe I'll even wear this. Who knows? It's not my hometown team, so we'll find out. Then they play Carolina, a very top team in the Metro. Boston, one of the best teams in the league, and then Montreal, who's been struggling but can still steal a game from you. So, yeah, it's not going to get easier. And there's not a whole lot to be happy about right now with Columbus. And I'm not trying to beat down on them all too much. I know I have been a lot in this video. But honestly, I think you look at the management and you see what you can do there. But regardless, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. I really appreciate it. But regardless, thank you all for watching. And I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.